We all remember watching something that terrified us when we were children, something that, even as adults, is something that is ingrained into our subconsciousness. And when we see it, all the memories come flooding back as if you first witnessed it. For some, it may be Goosebumps, maybe Coraline, and for others, it may be a certain Halloween special. For me, it was Monster House. Even to this day, the imagery of that house is ingrained into my skull. So, when my friend told me that this movie was bad, I had to rewatch it and prove them wrong. No, not even that. After I rewatched it, I had to prove that this movie was good to them. This 2006 movie, written by Dan freaking Harmon, a man who made a show ahead of its time. No, the other one. That's it. I had to go ahead and make this analysis and prove that not only is this movie a great movie, but also is a Halloween classic. Without further ado, let's talk about it. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna analyze this movie as if you've already seen it, so spoilers ahead. You might be wondering how a children's movie like this one could possibly have themes. Well, the thing is that all movies have it, even if they are pretty basic. I'm looking at you, Polar Express, we're gonna get to you real soon. But even then, this movie's themes are actually pretty well thought out, with the movie's theme being about maturity and acceptance. Now this theme plays a role in particularly 3 characters: our main character DJ, Old Man Nevercracker, and the house itself, Constance. Now, we'll talk about the house later, but first, let's take a look at DJ. DJ's entire arc is about maturity and what it means to mature and grow up. In the beginning, he tries to act like a grown-up and generally tries to make himself seem older and mature, but ends up embarrassing himself. He's got a babysitter looking after him, he thinks he's too cool for Halloween, constantly obsessing and stalking his old neighbor. You know, the normal stuff preteens would do. Now what really jumpstarts his change is when he gives Nevercracker a heart attack and the house beginning its reign of terror. When this happens, DJ's goal truly begins. His goal being to stop the house from eating people. So throughout the film, he takes on this leadership role and begins to learn to be confident, be brave, and not to assume who people truly are. If you compare DJ to who he was from the beginning to the DJ at the end side by side, one can see how much he has truly changed. Even by the end, he changes his attitude about trick-or-treating and goes one last time with his pal Chowder after literally killing a house demon. Another way you can see this is through his relationship with Nevercracker. At the beginning of the film, DJ assumes that Nevercracker is just some lunatic who hates children, but in reality is a man who is trapped and needs help. So by the end, DJ finds sympathy with Nevercracker and comes to an understanding of who he really is. Now, Nevercracker is a man who, as I said before, is trapped. Before the beginning of the film, he loved his wife Constance until she fell into the basement and died. Soon enough, her spirit takes over the house and wants to terrorize children and anyone who is in her surroundings. This in turn makes Nevercracker a man who is trying to protect those around him. It's a very unique twist on the old man wanting you to get off his lawn type trope. Nevercracker had to live in constant fear, anger, and agony, knowing that his wife, the woman that he loved, is dead, but still had to deal with her ever-presence in the home. He lived for years thinking that there was no way out, and this was his life forever. So when the curse finally gets lifted, he is truly happy that he and Constance are finally free from this hell that they lived in for years. Nevercracker finally accepts and lets go of his wife and finally just lives. Although he accepts the reality, the one who takes the longest to accept and forget was the house itself, Constance. What we know about Constance is through her backstory and how she lived in the circus for being morbidly obese and being treated like trash because of it. We understand her love for her husband and her house and how much she'll protect those things from the people around them. Because of how she was treated, she has this hate that she carries within her throughout her entire life. Even in death, she despises children for how they've treated her when she was alive. I mean, these kids were egging their house in the middle of nowhere. Like, come on, dude. Besides that, her hate is what traps them in this hellish cycle for years. She doesn't see how much her hate has spread until Nevercracker decides to let her go. When this happens, she finally accepts defeat and goes to the afterlife when she realizes that her husband is gonna be okay without her, and that she was the problem. But I mean, this is after she chases her husband and the kids around the neighborhood and gets herself blown up. You have to remember that this is a Halloween film, and since it's Halloween, it must be spooky. With that said, does it deliver? Abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, look at this imagery. There are so many aspects of this movie that just give me such Halloween vibes, it's great. Just looking at the centerpiece of the house, you can see how much work was put into it. They needed to make this house scary, and not only do they make this house scary, but they also give this house a full range of emotion, since it's a character within itself. And I just can't get enough of it. Like, are you kidding me? How in the world did they think of this beautiful range of emotion? Okay, moving on. Not only is that house incredibly designed from inside and out, but the entire film and its style is just so creative. Unlike other movies that were made in the Robert Zemeckis mocap era, this actually has a cartoonish style to its characters that fit with what the movie tries to aim for. They actually make it look like the characters were made out of clay, which I think is a very nice, creepy aesthetic with all the characters. Actually, they did make the characters out of clay, then rendered those models into the film, and I personally think that is incredible. Even the environments are executed very nicely with this normal suburban look to it, and has this feeling like something is off. It's almost like that with the entire film, and it fits with what it's trying to accomplish. I commend the people working on this film for using their technology to their advantage to create that feeling, instead of just making it hyper-realistic like other Robert Zemeckis films. Now, I've been praising this film throughout the entire video, and I do have to admit that there are some problems like any other film. Like, sure, there are times when the comedy doesn't really hit, and there are some questions that I have throughout the film. For example, why did Nevercracker and Constance build their house in the middle of nowhere? How does no one see this house roaming around the entire neighborhood, especially on Halloween? How does no one see this explosion? Are you kidding me? Setting aside those small plot holes, just watching this movie, it's just a lot of fun. And even looking into the production, one can see how much love and passion was put into this film. Just look at the concept art and you can see how much the director Gil Keane had fun making it. And I think that's what makes this movie a great movie to watch around Halloween. Look, Halloween films are supposed to be scary but fun. You don't go into a haunted house just to get scared, you enjoy the fear and the fun from that experience. This film delivers that for all audiences, and that's what makes this film fantastic to watch around this time. If you haven't seen this movie for a while, I highly recommend just rewatching it and giving it a shot. You may be surprised. I'm specifically talking to you. Yes, you. I'm specifically talking to you. How dare you disgrace this film? Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully I finish this by Halloween, and if it's November, well, I'm gonna jump into the shower and cry. Anyways, I'm trying to get back into making videos, so if you have any suggestions of what to talk about or what to make next, please just leave it in the comments below. Don't know what else to say at the end of these parts because I'm not a YouTuber. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Peace.